topic, volleyball. Now, here in the Philippines, we have a couple of women's professional leagues. So we know that basketball, whether it's collegiate, professional, PBA, they have these restrictions on imports. What do you guys think about the Philippine women's volleyball leagues being the testing ground for no import restrictions for professional sports here in the Philippines? That's a heavy topic, right?
That's a really good topic, actually.
I think it's great. I think that there's talent out there that helps elevate. There's always this, when you play sports, you gotta play against the best to be the best.
What about national pride? It's our own league.
But how good are you gonna be if you're just playing, you're the best in the Philippines, but you're still not the best even in Asia, right? You're not the best in the world.
Yeah.
And how do you get to the point where you can be the best in the world, where you can compete against the best? The only way you can compete against the best if you do it on a daily basis, day in and day out.
Right, you definitely have to train with people of higher level in order to elevate yourself to that level.
So are you guys saying the PBA should open up as well and not have restrictions on imports?
I don't think it's as simple as just having restrictions or having no restrictions. I think if we're still talking about volleyball, I think it is a good idea that they have no restrictions. Just to see, we don't know the talent level of our volleyball players here on a national scale just yet, right? So I think it's important for us to kind of test ourselves and kind of gauge where possibly, if we have this league and we allow imports, or even if imports will even come if we allow them, right? We don't know.
The interesting thing about the women's volleyball league here in the Philippines is it's not as established as PBA or UAAP, which they have their infrastructure, they have their board of governors or whatever, so it's going to be very hard to change those rules. But we already know there are imports coming into the Philippines, playing in these women's leagues. But, as you were saying, Vern, how do we get the talent level up? How do we raise the bar? And if you look at other countries, most, if I'm not mistaken, do not put restrictions on imports for their professional leagues. So, is this an advantage for us, a disadvantage? Like, are we getting better imports because only one can come? Or will we get better imports if we open up the gates?
I think you end up raising your game if you allow better players into your league without, going back maybe 10 years ago, look at how the U.S. struggled playing against European players in the Olympics.
Different
style of play. Once those players started coming to the NBA, the NBA players started adjusting to that style of play, and look how it's changed. The NBA players are playing much better on an international level than they were 10, 15 years ago, simply because they know now this 7-foot guy, that's a 3-point
shooter.
That's a 3-point shooter.
Yeah,
You're
like stretch five.
And so they know exactly how to play it. They know exactly what kind of players they need on the roster to do that, and it made it. It's kind of silly to say, but it made USA basketball better because they allowed those type of players in the league. Dirk Nowitzki.
I think that's a great point, because if you look at it, we were talking about national pride earlier. So if we're going to have a professional athlete, let's say a born and raised Filipino who's played UAAP or any college level, then PBA, make it to, let's say, the NBA, what better way to do it than opening up the gates and taking away the restrictions, or even for women's volleyball or any sports, where they're going up against the best possible athletes here in the country and around the world. We're going to adjust training techniques, rehabilitation, strategy, coaching, everything.
Going along with that, we have a Filipino playing in the NCAA right now, Kobe Paras.
Yes.
And you see
Creighton University.
I think if he came here, he would ball out. I think he would ball out here. What's he doing at Creighton?
He's riding the pine.
He's riding the bench, but he's getting NCAA strength and conditioning, and I've heard from people that have known him before he left, and when he came back, he's a completely different person. Much bigger, much faster. because of that. And when you bring that sort of mentality, U.S. like high school athletics, strength and conditioning, and you bring that to the Philippines, our athletes can only get better.
Yeah,
But
I mean, no, that's a great comparison because if you look at somebody such as Kobe Perez, Creighton University, looks like they're going to make the tournament of 64 for March Madness. His dad, Benji Perez, PBA legend. He was the only guy to win, Rookie of the Year and MVP in the same year. But he made a conscientious decision to support his son playing abroad, playing in the U.S., going to Cathedral High in Los Angeles, and then Creighton. And it's a great point you bring up because if you're talking NCAA U.S. college basketball, how many 7-footers are in the league? PBA, you have maybe a couple. You have Japper Aguilar, Jumar Fajardo. Can't really think of any other 7-footers. So strength, talent, all that level of competition is elevated. But I mean, as far as I know, I don't think we have a restriction on import coaches. So I think the logic is already there that, okay, we want the best coach. So you cannot tell a team, oh, your coach has to be Filipino born and raised.
Yeah.
Right.
But you have a restriction on players. You can only have one import for this conference or tournament, and this one is an all-Filipino tournament. You cannot have any imports.
Right.
Andre Blash, Gilas Pilipinas. He's not born and raised Filipino, but he helped us almost get an Olympic berth.
Yeah, but that always rubbed me the wrong way because I always felt like
We could have done it without him.
no, not that we could have done it without him. I felt like, especially when we were watching him before, I felt like the offense always ran to him, and I was just like, we have great Filipino players.
I agree.
And why aren't we using it? We're running an offense where it's give it to Blatch and then that's it.
Well, I think this brings us back to our original question about opening up the restrictions because I really don't think that Andre would have been the best import we could have naturalized. But had we had a better process of farming international talent, then we would bring in someone who could be a better playmaker, distributor, scorer, passer that will really be able to contribute and help all of the team members, especially the Filipino team members of our national team, play the best that they can.
They get. I definitely feel like they get better when you play better competition because I feel like it's a little bit of a culture shock for some of the Filipinos that haven't played basketball in the States to realize how quick those guys are. We always talk about quick and strong. We always talk about our guys are like Terrence Romeo, how quick and fast he is and how he's going to dominate. Then he goes to international competition and everyone's that quick, but they're also much stronger. So
and bigger.
Yeah,
like
and so
250, 300-pound guys that can just run as fast as you, and you're half the weight.
So someone like Romeo needs to step up his game, and the only way he can really step it up is if he sees better competition, because he's blowing people away here. And if he finally gets someone who's going to guard him, who's taller than him, who's stronger than him, that's going to force him to work on his technique, to go to the gym, to improve his handling, to improve his quickness and his agility. You look at Steph Curry, like the stuff that he does. He's not the biggest guy out there, but his off-season training is ridiculous.
All right, so I guess just to really make sure we have an answer for this question, let's just do a final roundup. Should we lift these restrictions on imports more? What do you say?
I think we should.
I'd say yes as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Bird.
I agree. Yes.
I also agree. It sounds unanimous. Hopefully this decision will be made. I'm not too sure if it's going to happen in the near future, maybe in a more distant future. But of course, stay tuned to the future because we will be having more SI Huddle episodes. But for this one, we're ready to sign off. My name is Jerome.
Mark?
Kid.
Burn.
And we're out.